Okay, well, let's move on. The chairperson of the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, will continue to hear submissions from the legal team on why he should allow hard drives to be submitted to the Commission as evidence. Yesterday, Justice Zondo heard evidence from the lawyer Brian Curran on how he was approached by two whistleblowers who were in possession of the hard drives containing emails from the Gupta families. Now, the hard drives contain emails and communication between the Guptas and the representatives of government and state-owned enterprises. Justice Zondo questioned the evidence in the hard drives in its entirety and whether it has been analyzed. Well, we're expecting more from the Commission later on. I think it starts at around 10 o'clock today, and we're going to try to catch up with our reporter Friday Mbeje, who has more on that. As soon as he's up and running, we'll contact him. All right, I think he is there. Mzwai, thank you very much indeed for your time. Let's just recap of what we heard yesterday. Take us back to the testimony yesterday.
Thank you very much, Blaine. We heard yesterday how the emails, you remember, that which was known as the Gupta leaks came about. So one of the witnesses yesterday told us how they acquired this kind of information. He was basically Brian Curran was basically saying, so he was approached by a friend who told him that he had hard drives, and these hard drives really, Blaine, had so much information. But because these people, they say they were not political, they did not know what to do with this kind of information, but it was quite serious and quite sensitive. So that's why this human rights lawyer really got involved. So he has a long history in the struggle, a long history in the human rights movement. So he then played a very crucial role, Blaine, in making sure that he assists, even if it meant getting these people out of the country, because they were quite worried that if this information came to the fore and somebody could possibly have known who they were. So he also got involved in making sure that they are taken out of the country. But before that could happen, so somehow this story happened without them really prepared for it, because they had met the investigative team of Amapungane, so those journalists who are part of the investigative team. So they had hoped that so they were going to make this information available around September, that is last year. But before they knew it, on the 28th of May, so the Sunday Times broke the story. So basically, in a nutshell, so that's the kind of information that Brian Curran was really sharing with the Commission, saying, so this issue of Gupta leaks was quite a serious issue. Just to also add, Blaine, that remember, this is the issue of the hard drives, and there could be an issue whether they are admissible to the Commission. So we also spent a lot of time hearing the legal arguments from the Commission's lawyers, basically asking from the judge that these documents, rather these hard drives, be admissible so that they would be able to push their case. So that's what will happen this morning when the Commission resumes at 10 o'clock, that argument whether to use these hard drives as admissible. So basically that's what we are doing today. So we don't expect any witness, but we only expect the arguments insofar as to whether this should be admitted to the Commission.
I'm sorry, what was some of the concerns raised by Justice Zondo? What were some of the questions he posed?
I think Judge Zondo, as much as he realized and the importance of those hard drives, he was a bit cautious in his approach. Remember, this has got about 300,000 loads of information. So some of the questions he was posing was, if he then admits these. So does he admit all of the 300,000 or the identified parts, those perhaps that are crucial to assisting this commission? So I think those were the issues that the judge was really raising. But by the look of things, it does look he will perhaps admit it. But of course, these things have to be done procedurally, and certain questions must be asked, because there is a possibility, Blaine, of a challenge to this. Those who are implicated, and remember, Blaine, that when these Gupta leaks first appeared in the media, so the people who are central to this, the Guptas, characterized it as fake. And what if that challenge comes again and these things are admitted without perhaps a thorough process being followed? So that is one of the concerns that the judge appeared to be really having.
Yeah, I know it's hard to tell at this stage, but is it going to be wrapped up pretty quickly, or is you expecting a bit of a long day?
Quite honestly, judging by what transpired yesterday, I do not think this will be a long day, especially because they also did indicate that there will be no witness today. So the legal team, led by Kate Hofmeyer, so will continue presenting their arguments, and I think it will perhaps by lunchtime would have been wrapped up, and then we will then have to prepare for next week, where we know that so some of the very prominent people will be coming to the commission. I just can add that if nothing changes on the 3rd, we expect the current finance minister, Nhlanhla, to be the one who will be giving evidence. And of course, on the 10th, it will be Pravin Gordhan, former finance minister, and of course, the current public enterprises minister. And then on the 15th, former public enterprises minister, Barbara Hogan.
Okay, let's leave it there. Zondo Mbeje live for us in Parktown, Johannesburg. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting.